It's almost like the Walt Disney Company completely forgot about the existence of Paradise Gardens Park. In 2018, when they split up Paradise Pier into two separate lands, they created Pixar Pier and Paradise Gardens Park. Pixar Pier was the big new thing. It was the reskin of half of Paradise Pier. So the other half of Paradise Pier is just sitting there to this day in its old state. If you know this channel, if you know me at all, you know that I hate Pixar Pier. It's like the bane of my existence. Paradise Pier used to be my favorite part of both parks, of Disneyland and California Adventure. And Pixar Pier was a significant downgrade. If you'd like to talk about Pixar Pier, I already have a review video up on the channel. But in today's video, we're gonna focus on the other half of the pier, which remains as Paradise Gardens Park. It's just really messy that they took one large coherent land and they rethemed half of it, so the other half is just still there. I am very nostalgic for Paradise Pier, and a lot of that includes what's left of Paradise Gardens Park, so part of me is happy that Paradise Pier still exists in some form. I'm a bigger fan of this part of the park than most people, but it still bothers me that it's so messy, you know? But I take more of that frustration out on the existence of Pixar Pier compared to the remains of Paradise Gardens Park. Before we get started, please like this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of Paradise Gardens Park. What did you think of Paradise Pier? Do you have an opinion on Pixar Pier? I'd love to hear in the comments below. And of course, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. The push for 10,000 subscribers is on, and I am grateful for all of your support. My YouTube analytics says we have 20,000 returning viewers over the last month, and we're nowhere near 20,000 subscribers. So if you've watched more than one video on this channel, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's dig into Paradise Gardens Park, starting with the rides. This area actually has a lot of rides for a Disney themed area, especially when you consider it's half of a themed area because it used to be the entire pier. Paradise Gardens Park has 5 attractions and a nighttime spectacular. 5 attractions is tied for the lead with Pixar Pier itself for most in the park, so that's just absolutely crazy that Paradise Pier used to have these two lands as a whole, which was one of many reasons why I love Paradise Pier. The first ride in Paradise Gardens Park that you're gonna see when you enter the area is Ariel's Undersea Adventure. This is a really cute dark ride. I'm a big fan of it. I actually have a commentary video of this attraction, so if you haven't watched that, go ahead and check that out, please. The highlight of this attraction is easily the under the sea sequence. It's very cute. I also like that Scuttle bookends the ride experience because it's like he's retelling the story of the Little Mermaid, which might be the rationale for why it's so rushed at the finale. Like once Ariel gets her legs, she's immediately on the boat with Prince Eric, and Sebastian is singing Kiss the Girl, and then they kiss. You see the silhouette of Ursula cursing them in the background, and then boom, they're married, like back to back to back. The pacing in the finale is just breakneck, and in my opinion the first half is just overall much more well themed because you have that whole backwards section going back down under the sea, and you see the Little Mermaid for the first time on the left hand side. Like the second half, the clamshells don't even rotate, like you're just facing inwards for the last 3 scenes, so it feels a lot less immersive. The quality definitely dips after you see that Ursula animatronic, which by the way is really impressive. She's another highlight of the attraction for sure. One thing that is a little silly is that the Ariel animatronics are kind of cross-eyed, which is a little goofy, but you know, it is what it is. Overall, this is an incredible attraction, and it was cloned for Walt Disney World at Magic Kingdom, but that version of the attraction has a much cooler queue, which is very nice. But it's literally the exact same ride. Moving on to the next attraction in Paradise Gardens Park is the first of 2 spinning attractions. It is the Golden Zephyr. I actually love the Golden Zephyr. I am a big fan. I think it's very visually appealing. I might be one of the biggest Golden Zephyr fans out there. I actually have a full review video for this attraction on the channel, which you should check out if you haven't already. It's just so cool. It looks amazing at night with the lights on the wires. Like it kind of looks like a Christmas tree. Those wires holding up those very large ride vehicles is really cool. It gives you some amazing views of the pier and obviously the rest of Paradise Gardens Park. It's a pretty tame and short ride experience, but it's just something to do without that long of a wait. The major downside with the Golden Zephyr is unfortunately that it is very very wind sensitive, so it'll go down in like the smallest breeze. For that reason, I don't think that this attraction could exist in like any other climate other than Southern California or other climates that are just as tame, so that's kind of funny. But overall, it's such a tall structure. It plays a really important part in the skyline of the pier area, which worked better when the whole thing was Paradise Pier. But it still looks really, really cool today. Right next door to the Golden Zephyr is the Jumpin' Jellyfish. I have so many memories riding this attraction as a kid. I was one of those kids who was afraid of like dark rides or rides where I couldn't see what was gonna happen to you. So I loved these attractions in what is now Paradise Gardens Park because I could see everything that was gonna happen. Like I knew the ride experience before I got on the ride. So I'm very nostalgic for Jumpin' Jellyfish, even though the ride experience itself is pretty much just like an outdoor elevator. Like it's very, very tame. You might get some butterflies in your stomach when it's coming back down, but overall nothing that noteworthy. I love riding this attraction when you're facing the water because you have a great view of the fun wheel and the water and the rest of the pier, obviously. So that's a pretty cute spectacle, but only a handful of the jellyfish are facing that way, which is pretty funny. Moving on to only one of 2 roller coasters in this entire park. It is Goofy Sky School. So this is an off-the-shelf Wild Mouse, so it's really not that special on paper, but it does get a decently long wait time. Like more often than not, the wait time for Goofy Sky School is pretty bad, which like I think that just speaks to the demand for roller coasters, and I feel like DCA needs to add at least one, preferably more than one, roller coaster to diversify this ride lineup. That being said though, I am a sucker for the Goofy Sky School theme. I think it's really, really cute. It's very clever. Learning to fly with Goofy, and he's such a klutz that, you know, flying with Goofy feels like a wild mouse. Like that's pretty cute. Like obviously it's not immersive, like it's very stylized, but the paint is kind of faded, so it definitely could use some love in that regard. This might be one of the most cycled wild mouse in the world. Wild mice. Whatever. And very similar to Jumpin' Jellyfish and Golden Zephyr, I am nostalgic for this ride. I rode it as Mulholland Madness way back when. And it's kind of cute that it used to be an orange roller coaster and now it's a blue roller coaster. Those are my 2 favorite colors, which is why you see them in my channel's logo. Moving on to the second spinning ride and the final attraction in Paradise Gardens Park is Silly Symphony Swings. Just like Goofy Sky School, this ride is stylized very, very well. It's very cute. The fact that it's themed to a storm, like the Mickey short, the Silly Symphony, you know. The music is pretty loud, like you can hear it all the way on the other side of the Paradise Bay when this ride is cycling. It's so much fun. This attraction is elevated on top of a platform, so you have an amazing view of the water and the rest of the pier, and that just adds a different dynamic to other wave swingers at other theme parks. And I feel like this one is faster, which is really, really fun. This is just one of those cute rides. Like I just love kicking my feet out, feeling those forces, feeling the wind, seeing those amazing views. It's just very, very fun. And I loved how stylized it is. It's a very cute attraction, in my opinion. Plus the minimalist, like wires holding up your chair, can be a little intimidating, which is kind of funny. So those are the 5 rides at Paradise Gardens Park, but there is one other major draw, because Paradise Gardens Park is technically home to the viewing area of California Adventure's Nighttime Spectacular, which is World of Color. As of recent, Disney has been cycling through various iterations of World of Color. Most recently, it has been World of Color 1, which I have a full review video for on the channel if you'd like to check that out. I have very strong opinions on World of Color 1. World of Color Happiness is about to debut in like less than 2 weeks at the time of this recording. And obviously the original World of Color, which is a fantastic show. That's still my favorite version of the show, and I would love to see it come back, assuming World of Color Happiness is not Disney's next masterpiece, but we'll see, I guess. But any version of World of Color is an absolute spectacle. The lights on the fountains are just absolutely breathtaking, and it's 100% something you should do when you visit the Disneyland resort. That being said though, it's nowhere near as good as Fantasmic, and I'm becoming more of a firework person. Like I used to not really care about firework shows, but they've been hooking me in. Part of that is thanks to how good of a show Wondrous Journeys is. That show is absolutely incredible, which I also have a review video for in case you're curious. But anyway, World of Color is 100% worth seeing, especially if you're dedicating one day to doing California Adventure. So that's a pretty impressive ride lineup for a themed land at California Adventure. Once again, it's tied for the most amount of attractions in the park. It has a really solid dark ride with Ariel's Undersea Adventure, and it has one of 2 roller coasters in the park with Goofy Sky School, which I'm a fan of, even though it is not something unique to Disney. You have a breathtaking nighttime spectacular, and you have 3 family-style attractions to bring kinetic energy to the land, which I really, really like. One major aspect of Paradise Gardens Park that we have to talk about is like the food court, kind of back in between Goofy Sky School and the entrance to Pixar Pier, right across from Silly Symphony Swings. There's 2 restaurants in here. One is Paradise Garden Grill, which is pretty good from my memory. And we also have Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta, which I also enjoy. I think the pizza is very similar to the pizza at Alien Pizza Planet, but the pasta is really good. I am a fan of Disney's spaghetti, but obviously since it's food at a Disney park, any of the options are going to be overpriced, so you should just know that going in. I do like the fact that it does have like a food court within the pier area, because DCA also has that food court. It's basically an entire land, which is now San Francisco Square, which is kind of fun. This food court area is used for live entertainment from time to time, and whenever Disney has like a festival, I feel like they have some anchor in this corner of the park because it's pretty generic, so they can kind of like reshape it however they want. It's always this corner of the park and also the Hollywood backlot whenever Disney has a special event or some celebration that they have. Usually they'll have the festivities in this corner of the park or the Hollywood backlot, which is kind of a downside in my opinion because it kind of gives the area like a cheap and temporary atmosphere. Like it's just used to promote whatever Disney wants to promote at any given time, which kind of means a lack of identity within the land itself, because that's a big chunk of Paradise Gardens Park back there. But identity is 100% one of this land's biggest problems. Obviously with the fact that it was part of Paradise Pier and now it's all that's left of Paradise Pier when they rethemed half of it to Pixar Pier. It's just so messy that they took a whole land and they cut it in half. So now this area is just kind of off on its own, but the 2 e-tickets in the pier area are both on the side that is now Pixar Pier with Incredicoaster and Toy Story Midway Mania. So now the main draw for guests to Paradise Gardens Park is either Ariel or Goofy Sky School, which are good rides in my opinion, and I have a soft spot for both of them, but they're just not on the same scale in terms of popularity as Toy Story Midway Mania and Incredicoaster, obviously. Like I feel like these collection of 5 rides that they had worked better when they were supported by the collection of rides on the other half Paradise Pier. Now that they're on their own, it's just kind of jumbled and messy because you got Jumpin' Jellyfish and Golden Zephyr, which are just kind of generic California vibe rides. And then you have a dark ride themed to the Little Mermaid, and then you have 2 attractions themed to Mickey and Friends with Goofy Sky School and Silly Symphony Swings. So these 5 rides don't really work well together. And then of course you have a World of Color show, which could be celebrating 70 years of Disneyland Park. It could be celebrating 100 years of the Walt Disney Corporation, or it could just be the classic World of Color show. So it's just like messy, you know? Which is very similar to how Pixar Pier is a mess. Like if I look back at the old Paradise Pier, the side with California Screamin' and Midway Mania was definitely the stronger side. So the fact that the weaker side is just still here is pretty strange to me. But this Paradise Gardens Park is 100% a victim of the terrible decision that was Pixar Pier. And as I said, I really dug into that in my review video for that land. Another aspect that contributes to the lack of identity for Paradise Gardens Park are the hotels. Like the Grand Californian and what is now the Pixar Place Hotel both tower over this section of the park. More so the Grand Californian because it's like right along the border of the park. I've had the opportunity to stay at one of those hotel rooms that has a view of the pier, which is absolutely breathtaking. Like that's an incredible experience, but obviously not something I would do on a regular basis. Like if you're a tourist who's looking for a park view, which hotels with park views are like the big thing these days, you know? Like Fantasy Springs just opened in Tokyo Disneyland and it has a hotel with a view of that themed area. And obviously Epic Universe is opening with a hotel like as part of the park, like it's ingrained into the park as its icon almost, or one of the park's icons, which is very, very interesting. Like that's cool as a hotel guest, But in terms of Paradise Gardens Park, it's a little strange that this is themed to like a boardwalk, but the hotel that's closest to you is themed to the redwoods of California, you know? Because it ties in beautifully with the Grizzly Peak section. I believe when the hotel first opened, it didn't get this close to Paradise Pier, but because it was such a huge success, they added onto the hotel to get it closer to the pier. So this was a problem going back to the Paradise Pier days, where you had a hotel themed to the California redwoods right on the doorstep of a beach boardwalk. So that is a little strange, but from the perspective of a hotel guest, it is really cool once again, because the Grand Californian is an incredible hotel, in my opinion. On the other side of the coin, we have the Pixar Place Hotel, which I have not stayed at. It used to be the Paradise Pier Hotel, which I did have the opportunity to stay at, and it's by far the most generic of the 3 hotels at the Disneyland Resort. But from an in-park perspective, it was way prettier to look at than the Pixar Place Hotel. They totally drained the personality and the aesthetic out of that building, and now it looks ugly. It looks so bad. It looks disgusting. Like, it used to have this like crown on the roof line with waves, which was really, really cool. And now it just has this ugly yellow, blue, and red lighting. The architecture is just bad, in my opinion. Like, it looks naked without the crown with the waves on it. I don't know if there's a better word to describe the waves than crown. I don't know anything about architecture. So it is really a shame that not only is this land half of a land that used to exist, but it's also in the shadow of a hotel that ties into the other half of the land, even though it's much closer to Goofy Sky School, Golden Zephyr, Jumpin' Jellyfish, Silly Symphony Swings, compared to Incredicoaster, Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, and Toy Story Midway Mania, you know? So there's 2 hotels right next to Paradise Gardens Park, and neither of them are themed to Paradise Gardens Park. It's because Paradise Gardens Park was never supposed to be a thing, you know? Just like how Pixar Pier should have never been a thing. So let's talk about the future of this themed land. Is Disney gonna do something about this, or is it just gonna stay the way that it is for God knows how long? I remember a few years ago there were rumors going around that the rest of Paradise Gardens Park was also going to be rethemed into Pixar Pier, which like I was upset about, because as much as I'm not a fan of the current state of Paradise Gardens Park, I'm a hater of Pixar Pier. So I don't want more of it. In a perfect world, I would delete Pixar Pier, or I guess I would undo it, or bring back the original Paradise Pier, but that's never gonna happen. So, the much more likely situation would be that the rest of this land becomes part of Pixar Pier. But in my opinion, that would just kind of leave World of Color in no man's land, because World of Color is not a Pixar show, it is a Disney show. Whether that's World of Color 1, World of Color Happiness, World of Color Celebrate, World of Color Season of Light, or the original World of Color, these are not Pixar shows. They might include Pixar characters and Pixar movies, but it's not a Pixar show, period. So it should not be in a Pixar land, you know? Like, I already hate it enough that Pixar Pier is the background. I would hate it even more if Pixar Pier was the background and the viewing area for any version of World of Color, you know? When Disney announced the Coco boat ride for California Adventure, there was a good chunk of people, including myself, that assumed that it would be a replacement to Goofy Sky School, kind of wedged in the Paradise Gardens Park section of the park, so it would be an expansion of Pixar Pier. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like the Coco boat ride is going to be right next to Toy Story Midway Mania, on the other side of Incredicoaster, which is really cool. I'm really happy that they're going to build something that isn't replacing anything. I mean, they might remove Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind for like queue space for the attraction, but in my opinion that's 100% okay. It's not like Emotional Whirlwind is one of Disney's greatest attractions, like it's literally a retheme of Flix Flyers. It's not like this section of the park is lacking spinning rides anyway, because Golden Zephyr and Silly Symphony Swings are literally right next door. You can get rid of Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind and nobody's gonna care. Nobody. So it looks like in the short term, Paradise Gardens Park is not gonna go anywhere. What I do find interesting is that if this Disneyland Forward ball gets rolling, like in motion, which it sounds like it's gonna happen eventually, we just don't know when, the bridge connecting this side of DCA to the potential other side of DCA would be right in between Pixar Pier and Paradise Gardens Park. So maybe when they build that bridge, they're gonna reevaluate Paradise Gardens Park to see what they can do with it. Whether that's leave it as is would be a decision. That would be very interesting. Or maybe they're gonna tie it in with whatever they're gonna build on the other side of the bridge for DCA's expansion plot. Or maybe it'll all just become Pixar Pier. I don't even know what I want, to be honest. Like, in my perfect world, they would retheme all of Pixar Pier to Toy Story and just make it Toy Story Pier. I feel like that would have worked so much better than Pixar Pier. The story could have been that Andy got to visit Paradise Pier when he was a kid, so he went home and he built a Paradise Pier for his toys, and now we as Disneyland Park guests get to go to that version of Paradise Pier. That would have been so cool. They could have repainted the supports on California Screamin' to look like Connect roller coaster model supports, you know, or like Legos or like Lego equivalent. There could have been so much more creativity poured into this section of the park than what they did, you know? It's so frustrating. It's so bad. And Paradise Gardens Park is definitely a victim of that, not to get too off track. But anyway, if they rethemed Pixar Pier to Toy Story Pier, then they could make the entire pier area, Paradise Gardens Park, could become the rest of Toy Story Pier, you know? Like, the Toy Story Land in Disneyland Paris literally has a parachute army men drop ride very similar to Jumpin' Jellyfish, so that's like a shoo-in. But then that leaves the same issue with World of Color, because World of Color would not be a Toy Story show, it's a Disney show, so why would it be in the Toy Story land? Oh my gosh. You know what would have been the best? If they just left it alone. If they left it as Paradise Pier, none of this would have happened. You know, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Everything would have been fine. So that is my opinion on Paradise Gardens Park. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you even as passionate about this part of the park as me? Please let me know down in the comments below. Please like this video, and of course, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're pushing for 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will catch you later.